Good afternoon, everybody. This is Councilman Britt Moore here at City Hall for our Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, October the 3rd. Councilman Tim Andrew had to be away on business, and so did Councilman Holmes. Councilman Holmes is traveling. He may be able to make it, but we have the Honorable Mayor Cyril Jefferson to join us, and Councilwoman Monica Peters. So we do have a quorum, and we will begin our agenda items. The first item is 2024-383. We're going to hear from Budget and Performance Director Stephen Howerlich.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mayor Jefferson, Councilwoman Peters. This request is to allocate $200,000 in American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA-enabled funds to the High Point Community Foundation to be used for their high-dosage tutoring program. During the FY 24-25 budget process, the High Point Community Foundation requested $200,000 for this program. This program utilizes specially trained tutors to provide individual tutoring from 2 to 6 hours per week for students who are not achieving literary skills. All students involved in the program are residents of High Point, and the program targets first-grade students in high-poverty elementary schools who have scored well below benchmarks in acquiring literacy skills. There is an attached budget ordinance. The funds are appropriated, but we kind of have them what we call a restricted account, which is where all the unallocated ARPA-enabled funds are, and so the budget ordinance just transfer them for this use, and we'd recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions? I'd just like to state that for those listening in the public, that this intended purpose is a one-time allocation, and it does not affect our general budget, and it is a need that I don't think is a secret, and our younger folks that are coming up and the struggles that many have had in accomplishment and learning to read early. So I think the intention's very good, and it will combine itself with lots of other money coming from the Community Foundation and other organizations. So we hope that this will help to address a much-needed issue that we face, and one that was emphasized and made even worse during the COVID pandemic. So if there's no other comments or questions, I will make a motion to approve item 2024-383.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
One second. When does it activate, the program? Like, when do they start the high dose?
Mayor, members of the committee, it's my understanding that the program is supposed to kick off is already starting this fall. So I do believe the program is already in operation, but we will verify that in time for Monday.
Okay. And the amount of funding left in the ARPA allocation, do we know?
That they-
After this, like, if we approve this Monday, what would be left?
If this is approved, there will be $1,781,566 unallocated.
And do we know who else? I mean, I know Community Foundation did an incredible job of raising money for this. Do we know who else has matched that effort? So if city's doing 200,000, who else has like come alongside aside from some of the?
We do. We have that information, and we can provide that to you as well. There are several other foundations that have made contributions to the fund for the high-dose tutoring program.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it would be great. Chairman Moore talked about how this is one-time funding for a need that we absolutely have and we should address. I think it's great for the public to know that there are a number of other folks who are also invested in this. So the city's come alongside as a partner alongside those folks. And then also knowing what that ARPA allocation is left, I think is helpful, and being clear on when it activates, I think would be helpful too. Thank you.
Do you remember, because I have had discussions on this, the total amount of which they were trying to raise? It was several $1 million, was it not?
I believe the number was 800,000 for the first, for this first round. They were raising $100,000 for the program.
Per their application, there are 4 schools specifically, and it's about $100,000 per school. And initially, it was going to be a 2-year program.
And these are for High Point schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, there's a motion and a second, and we were at all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Stephen. Next item is 2024-384. We're here from Angela Wines, our transit manager, on next several items.
Good afternoon. The first item is our North Carolina Department of Transportation Furniture Market Agreement. We're asking City Council to authorize the management and staff to enter into an agreement with NCDOT to provide funding for the fiscal year 2025 furniture market transportation services. The grant agreement will provide $1.7 million in funding to assist with the October 2024 and April 2025 furniture markets. This is a pass-through item, so it has no effect on the city's budget. And we're asking that City Council adopt the authorizing resolution for the agreement with NCDOT and authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all necessary documents.
Any comments here?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I will just state for the record that we do this each year, and the relationship between the state and the city of High Point in conjunction for our furniture market started in 2003. It was a change in the way it's been done all the years before, but it is, if you've been around downtown the last couple of weeks, it's hopping and traffic and dodging trucks and lots going on down there, getting ready for what we hope will be a good market. So there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2024-385.
This is a contract for temporary services for the Transit Division. We're asking to award a contract to Workforce Unlimited LLC to provide us with temporary employees to assist with covering vacancies in our maintenance division for our cleaners, as well as providing us with what we call mystery riders to assist us with compliance with our grant funding to monitor service requirements. We're asking council to award a contract to Workforce Unlimited in the amount of $180,000 and authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all necessary documents.
This item, I'll just say, is one that follows up on what we saw last meeting or the meeting before with our 911 communications, and it further accentuates the challenges that we're having across all departments and our workforces. So it's a necessary item. I'll make a motion for approval of item 2024-385.
Second.
Got a question.
Okay, please.
You mentioned we've worked with this group in the past before, Workforce?
I'm sorry.
You mentioned we've worked with this group in the past before?
Yes, we have.
You mind if I ask what the difference is maybe in previous contracts we've done similar? Is this about commensurate with it, or?
Previously, we didn't think we would need to have temporary services for as long as we've had them, so we've kind of been doing it year by year. So this is about what we've been spending each year for temporary services.
Okay, so there's not been any real significant increases in that contract labor?
No.
Yeah. I am curious, I mean, and Chairman Moore, you make a great point about how we're having to see so much more uses of contract labor, and we understand that's the nature of business. I am curious how that stacks up to if we were able to fill employee roles, how those two budget amounts compare to each other. So basically, if we were filling employees instead of contract labor, like what's the delta in those two?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman, Mayor, Councilwoman Peters, Damon Duquesne, Assistant City Manager. Staff is analyzing that currently along with this. So we'll be able to bring that back to you versus we're trying to see, does it make sense just to contract this operation completely, or do we go ahead and continue, robust efforts trying to hire in-house staff? So we're currently looking at that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? There's been a motion and a second on this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2024-386.
This is for a contract with GMV Synchromatics to provide real-time information to allow the operations staff and the public to track the location of buses and obtain the real-time information on arrivals and departures. We originally participated in a procurement with PART and 7 other agencies. We as a group selected GMV. We will have a public portal that'll be on the website where passengers will be able to go in. They will be able to track their buses, which will tie in also with our fare payment app, where they will also be able to do real-time trip planning. We're asking for an initial award for $298,079, which is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options. There's an 80% federal share and a 20% match for the city. We are recommending award to GMV Synchromatics and authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all necessary documents.
Interesting.
Sure.
So 20% match from the city, so we got 1.2 million from federal to support this?
It's 298,000, so 238,463 would be the federal share.
My bad. I thought this was the city's, okay, I see what you're saying. I thought this total amount was what the city was paying.
Okay.
And the federal was doing 80% of, okay. So we're doing 20% of this total amount here. It
Right.
comes from our budget, and the other 80%, 239, whatever you said, comes from the federal. That's awesome. I'm very curious about this. So it's not an app. You have to go on the city's website to track it.
You can do you can do it on your mobile phone using your browser, or you can be on your computer using your browser.
But it's browser, it's not an app.
It's not an
right?
app, it is browser-based.
So I guess my brain at first when you were saying it thought, oh, we're getting an app where you can track buses and pay for your bus fare and everything up there. But we're not there yet. Right now, we've got the website to track the buses, and you can, on that website, do some trip planning and pay your fare on the website too, is what you're saying?
No, we actually have a separate app for paying the bus fare. That is with a company called Delarock, and the name of the app is Umo. And that is also a joint venture with PART and Greensboro. Winston-Salem is joining as well.
I'm going to ask, and it may just be my ignorance on this topic, so what my brain is hoping we're going towards at some point, and maybe we just haven't, not able to do it yet, but an app where it's all in one place, where you can trip plan, know where you're tracking it, pay everything all on one app. My guess is that exists. I feel like, Councilwoman Peters, we were in Cincinnati, and I feel like we did an app to get from the airport and everything to ride the Rhino or something like that.
It does exist, and with the Umo app, you can pay your fare and do trip planning. But the one thing you cannot do through the app is actually track the location of the bus and follow it on the map.
Really? Is there no app that allows all that under one?
I cannot honestly say that there is not one. We just haven't found one where we've been able to find one company that does both and does them both well.
Yeah. I think ultimately where technology is going, I mean, our goal is to get more riders, especially, folks who are mobile and pedestrian, maybe younger folks too. And I mean, obviously I know it's not Uber, but the goal is that it would be like Uber, right? That you could see it all, know where it's going, track it, book it,
Right.
pay for it. All you gotta do is go up, scan, walk around the bus. It just makes travel so much easier. So my hope is that we're continuing to scan and find that. I don't even know what the cost of that would be, but to me, it feels like if we're gonna be going towards more ridership, that maybe it does that. But this is I think an awesome step, an awesome step to be able to track buses. Thank y'all.
Any other comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-386.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
Next item is 2024-387, and we'll hear from Trevor Spencer, our engineering director.
Good evening, Chairman, Mayor, Councilwoman Peters. Engineering Services is recommending a contract award to Yates Construction for the Burton Avenue roadway improvements project. I know it's long awaited, so I'm happy to be bringing this item to you. This is a bond project that was voter approved in November 2019. that will deliver multimodal transportation enhancements with sidewalks, bike lanes, and transit accommodations, and provide roadway and utility improvements along Burton from Hodgen Street to Willard Road. The project will have 1 year to complete, and we expect to issue a notice to proceed in November of this year. The city received 2 qualified bids at September 25th rebid opening, of which Yates Construction was the low bidder, and we are recommending award of the contract to Yates Construction in the amount of $6,554,229.50. And I can take any questions.
You got any comments on this one, Monica?
Well, I figure it's in Ward 3. We'd have Councilwoman Peters go first on this.
Wow. So, I don't even know what to say. I want to get up right now and come hug you, that's what I want to do, and everyone that made that happen, because Lord knows. Thank you, Jesus, but, yeah. So, thank you so much. I'm definitely in approval for this. It's been amazing, the amount of calls that I've gotten over the past few years, not only from the people that need to walk from where they live to the grocery store, but other citizens that drive through there and have literally seen people almost get run over. It's brought me to tears a lot. So I'm so grateful for this. So I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. I've got a question and some comments. I think,
No, that's fine.
campaigning right out there in the Burton Run area, you're talking to folks, and that was the biggest thing on folks' mind, was when is this project going to be done? And so, Trevor, I am excited. I appreciate y'all bringing this forward. I was looking at the map. I want to make sure I heard you right. You said from Hodgen Road, to Willard?
Yeah, it'll be just east of Willard, so it will, the terminus is just before the county line at the city limit mark.
I see. So from Willard to Hodgen, so right there where the McDonald's is at, basically,
Correct.
it'll stop just right there.
Yes, sir.
And there's already a sidewalk that picks up right next to McDonald's, right?
Yeah, so where there was some widening done in that portion closer to Westchester years ago, it will pick up at that point and
Yeah.
continue towards the city limits.
So to be clear, this actually gives folks access where you go from, like you said, from Willard all the way through now to Westchester, where there's already sidewalks and everything.
Correct.
We're just doing construction to Hodgen because some of that stuff is already there, and it's going to be bike lanes and all the things.
Correct.
Start time, finish time projected, we think?
We're anticipating starting in November, next month.
Really?
Yes, pending
Okay.
award, we would set up a pre-construction meeting with the contractor beginning of November, and we have conveyed to them during all of our pre-bid meetings that we wanted to issue a notice to proceed in November of this year. So if you go through there now, you will see utility relocation work that is ongoing, and some of that will still be going on while the project is getting started, but we're used to coordinating that type of work while we're under a construction contract, so we're gonna press on and get started this year, and the goal is to have it finished up by next fall.
Nice. What does road closure look like there?
Most of the project will be built under temporary lane closures. We're going to learn a little more about the means and methods of what the contractor is wanting to do. The utility constructions for water and sewer and stormwater are really going to dictate how that traffic is managed earlier in the project. We will not have the luxury of doing a full shutdown like we have done on a couple of other projects, so it will be very impactful to traffic through there, but we will maintain it. So obviously, the public should expect delays, but for the most part, it will be temporary lane closures.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Trevor. Next item, we're going to hear from Edith Brady, our museum director, and it is item 2024-388.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This item is about our museum and HVAC replacement project. You'll remember that our current HVAC system has been having trouble maintaining proper climate in our museum building consistently for several years, which is a problem for our artifact conservation and preservation. And so in 2019 to 21, we had an NEH grant funded study that determined the system needed to be completely replaced. In 2022, we had an HVAC engineering study done to determine the specifications that would meet the recommendations from the previous study. We also had an envelope study done, which determined that we also needed a new roof. And then it was determined that the most cost-effective way to handle all this would be to do both of them all at the same time. And we were awarded a National Endowment for the Humanities grant for about $350,000 that will go for the HVAC portion but cannot be used for the roof portion. We have had the roof engineering design completed, so we've done a bid process, so we are finally ready to move forward with this. So we are, and we do need to have a budget ordinance amendment to appropriate the federal grant award and the remaining project costs. So the museum is recommending the approval of the contract, approval of the budget ordinance amendment, and that the appropriate city official and employees be authorized to execute all necessary documents to award the contract to Barr Construction Company for $999,000.
The 349, or approximately 350 through the
Yes.
grant, that's inside of the 999 contract?
Yes,
that in
yes,
addition
yes,
to-
that is part of,
Okay.
yes, that goes towards that overall cost, correct.
So our number is like 600 some, whatever that
Yes.
math is.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't have the, yes, I have not done that math in my head, but yes, somewhere in there.
nice. I didn't say this when Angela was here, Greg, but want to say shout out to the folks who work hard to find grants to supplement the cost of a lot of these projects. I mean, it makes it much more palatable to support these kinds of projects. We got to do them anyways, but when you've got grants, I think it just makes it that much easier on the taxpayer. So shout out to transportation and shout out to museum and library teams for going after grants to support this kind of work.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-388.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Edie.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Next item is 2024-389, Assistant City Manager Damon Duquesne.
Good afternoon again. This item is requesting the city to approve the sale of city-owned property at 516 White Oak Street to Sterling Real Estate Development for the amount of $23,000. We did receive an initial offer from Sterling for $11,000. On June 3rd of this year, council approved an upset bid process to dispose of the property. There was bidding back and forth. Ultimately, Sterling was the highest responsible bidder at $23,000. We bring that before you for your approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, we received an email where someone asked a number of questions about this. I don't know if we have that information today, and I don't know if we have it today, but I think it would be great to at least know some of that. I mean, I think the key words you said, the highest bidder we got on this, so we certainly didn't go for the cheapest bidder, we went for the highest bidder to try to get this property off. But it may be just informative and educational to know some of that stuff. Is staff able to put together information based on some of those questions we got?
Mayor, Chairman Moore, and members of the committee, this is Tasha Logan Ford, City Manager here in High Point. And there are some questions that were asked about this property, and staff has researched and found the information and what information we have. And at this point, I can share some of that with you, but we will also make sure that this is put in our public information portal and provided to the citizen as well. But the property was initially acquired by the city in August of 2007. The tax value for the property was $5,000, and then it was reassessed, and the current assessed value for the property is $11,000. In terms of the tax revenue that has been lost by the city while we have owned this property, it's been approximately $661 from 2008 until 2024.
It's not annual, that's the whole town.
That's the entire time.
$600.
$600
Okay.
that we have lost in tax revenue on the property. There was also a question in terms of holding costs that the city might have incurred during the time that we've had this property. There have been some maintenance costs according to our community development department, but we typically don't itemize for each particular property if there's a lot that needs to be mowed in this case because it was city property that was being mowed. At times it might have been our own staff, our own forces that mowed the lot. So it's really hard for us to say what the total cost of maintenance is associated with this lot. With the selling price of $23,000, they wanted to know if that selling price would cover all of our costs. Again, that's really hard to say when you think about mowing that might have occurred over the years. But I think the bigger question around the lost tax revenue since the city has owned that property, again, that's $661.85. We acquired the property in '07. Assessed value initially $5,000, currently valued at $11,000, and we're selling it for $23,000.
Sounds like a win. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Manager. I do think that you'd find if you put all those numbers together, after the back and forth bidding, we've covered our cost on that property.
Thank you, sir.
So I would like to make a motion to approve item 2024-389.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2024-391. Showing we're going to hear from Interim Fire Chief Brian Evans.
And can I say, Chief, as y'all are coming up, I just feel like I got to repeat this. Former Mayor Wagner said yesterday, economic development meeting that we had, he was listening to a nationally syndicated radio show, and they were talking about, obviously, the devastation in Western North Carolina, and talking about, but the good news is that you've got some folks down there working. For example, there's this great fire crew from High Point, North Carolina, and Jay said he rose 6 feet in the air when he said it, and he had to tell us about it yesterday. So I just feel like saying thank you not only to our folks, the fire department, I think there's some folks from our electrical department who are involved, maybe some of our folks from water and sewer. I know our 911 telecommunications folks and our management folks have been involved. I don't know if police has been involved, but there's been quite a few people who have been involved in helping in Western North Carolina. Our prayers are with the people who are there, obviously, and we want to continue to see that get better, and we encourage people to support, but got to say major appreciation to all the staff who have been involved in that, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. And this agenda item today is for land acquisition for a future fire station and radio communication tower, specifically located at 2711 Highway 66, located in Forsyth County. This land acquisition is approximately 7.14 acres. And High Point Fire Department and Radio Shop request the purchase of the 7.4 acres of land, which will be divided out between the two entities, one for a future fire station, and the second, approximately, talking with Director Lee Stanley, that they need approximately 1.15 acres for a radio tower site. Currently in the city, there's 3 tower sites, Sunnyvale, Riverdale, and the one currently located here behind City Hall. As the city continues to grow northwest into Forsyth County, we feel like this area will help us maintain that radio coverage that is much needed, and also for the fire department to continue to operate and meet the standard of cover and meet our ISO current ratings. So this area and this site also meets the needs for the city and both departments. And we are requesting that City Council approve this land acquisition for a purchase price of $679,900, and a budget ordinance amendment appropriating general fund balance is included in this agenda item. At this time, I'll take any questions.
I think full council had been briefed on this, that it may be coming, and some discussions. It seems to meet all the parameters. Anybody else have any comments on this? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-391.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Chief. Next item is 2024-396. Showing we're going to hear from Miss Lori Russell, Assistant Library Director.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are requesting that you approve a contract with North State Security Group in the amount of $119,891 per calendar year for security at the library. This will provide us with 2 unarmed guards, 80 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. We came to you last year asking for a security contract. We have found out the hard way that cheaper is not always better.
Yep.
So the contract does exceed our budgeted amount. This year, we will need about $7,000 over our budgeted amount of $99,000. We do have that in our operating budget. We will move some things that we would pay out of operating into our state aid to public libraries. So this year, we are covered. We will need, going forward, however, a $20,891 increase.
Any comments before I make some? This is, first of all, you usually do get what you pay for. And this is an unfortunate request in my eyes, but it's a reality for 2024, that you have to have security at a library. So understand the necessity of it, and just a couple weeks ago, I had a email from a citizen, concerned lady, who had talked about security at the library. So I would assume she's not the only one out there that's kind of felt that, and hopefully this will go a long way to help making that shore up with all the other improvements that you have going on at our library. So if there's no other comments on this item, I'll make a motion to approve item 2024-396.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. We've come to the end of our formal agenda. Is there any public comments or things that want to be said? Certainly echo the mayor's sentiments on the heartbreak and devastation to our west and south. And but I think it does show the better side of humanity if you start looking for it, because you're seeing a lot of people that are doing things that it's impossible for the government to get to quickly, and that will always be the case. So prayers for all of them, and continued safety, but keep them in mind, because this is going to take years and years to recover from. Anything else?
I want to take the privilege to say a very special happy birthday to our city clerk, Sandra Keeney. Sandra, we appreciate you so much, and we are grateful to celebrate this day with you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If there's nothing else, this meeting's adjourned.